Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and who you are, so these folks know who you are. Go ahead, Harold.
Hello, how you doing? I'm Harold Torrance. I'm full-time faculty and I teach in business management and Espanol.
I'm David Robbins, current student here at DCTC. Play on the baseball team as well. Treasurer for Student Senate as well, and in my last semester.
Hello everyone, I'm Patrice Netto and I am the program director and faculty member in the medical assisting program. I've been a faculty member here for 22 years.
Hello, I'm Hillary Sharp. I graduated in 2012 from DCTC in software development, and I currently work in the IT department here.
Hello, my name is Joe Hubert. I'm a current student in the network administration program. I'm president of the Veterans Club as well as a member of the IT club.
So that's our panelists. One of the first questions I think we want to ask them, and I think all of you could maybe take this question. Harold and Patrice, from what you see from students, but the rest of you, being students, you're able to answer this. So, when you first started your education at DCTC, what were your greatest fears and what did you do to overcome them? David's going to start. Their greatest fears, because I bet some of you came in scared to death about what was going to be happening. So listen to this.
My biggest fear was just I didn't want to fall behind in my classes. So the first 2 weeks, tried to get everything done right away, just so I'd be ahead of everything. So that was probably my biggest fear, falling behind.
And how did you overcome that?
I just made myself do everything right away.
Made himself do everything right away. Words to live by.
I think that's grit, right?
That's grit, see? We're talking about grit. Hillary, how about you?
I knew I wanted to be in IT, but I had never done anything with it, so I was really scared that I wouldn't be smart enough. So right off the bat, I made sure to get all my reading done and get to class. And I think I kind of had this idea too that I'd have to jump in the deep end immediately. But the way that the classes were set up, and even within each class, how the semester was laid out, we went through everything at a pace that I could keep up with. So it wasn't as big of an issue as I thought it was going to be.
My biggest fear was being able to juggle my personal life with my schooling life as well as being able to work. So a lot of it just kind of came down to, am I going to have enough time and motivation to do this? And like you're probably going to ask, how did I get past it? And the same answer is, I made myself do it. I made time for homework. I made time for my reading. I make sure that I'm on top of my assignments so I don't fall behind, so I'm not playing catch up at the end.
And before I hand it over to Tim, just Patrice and Harold, what fears do you see the most from students coming in?
Well, one thing is definitely confidence level is one of the issues that you face. Can I really write a paper? Can I really tackle this task? Can I really make a presentation? Fear of public speaking, as you know, is huge. And in business management, where I teach, you have to be able to address groups and people and engage. So that's one of the top fears, I guess. And throughout our program, we allow students to develop that, and first working with teams and in small groups, and then making presentations together. So then we have to be on the spotlight right on there. But persistence and passion and for learning how to learn, it's the key for success for sure.
Patrice, how about you? What fears do you see from your medical assistant students as they start the program?
Well, being in the medical field, one of the big fears that comes up is needles. They're afraid of needles, so we have to talk them through that a little bit. But I think really what the other panelists have shared here is very common. How am I going to juggle school with all that I have going on in life? And so we do spend quite a bit of time. The first week we're with the students, talking to them about time management and giving them ideas about how they might schedule their time better to be able to get to their assignments and turn them in on time and get to class on time and kind of all of those same things that these guys shared. So I think that's probably the biggest issue is the time management issue.
Good. I'm going to pass it on to, this is President Tim Lyons, for those of you who don't know. He's going to moderate the rest of the discussion here. And I don't know if you've met Dave before. You know who Dave is. Okay, very good. All right, this is Tim.
You're welcome. You guys have any questions? Oh, you're going to be a quiet group, aren't you? How many of you, you're not right out of high school? You're an adult that came back to school? Most of it, thank you. Thank you for the faculty member in the back of the room. All right, let's talk about how you overcame your fears and challenges, the things that you did. Let's ask this question. Did you learn something did you find something in your classes, this is for the students and Hillary as an alumnus, that you then go, okay, I didn't know if that would mean anything, but then you used it later on in another class. Did you find things that kind of built? Dave's shaking his head a little bit. Yeah, Joe, Hillary, you guys can start out. Do the classes kind of build upon each other so once you've picked up on something, this stuff starts to come together?
I guess the biggest thing for me is, you know, in each class, I think they give you an opportunity to like get up in front of the class and speak, you know, and I think that's very important in any field you go into, is being able to talk to, you know, multiple people at the same time, just like as we're doing here. And I think in some classes you get opportunity to do that, and it just builds your confidence for the next time that you have to do it.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the things from different classes tied in with each other, and then there are also things that now I'll catch myself going, oh wow, I'm glad I learned that. And obviously all of the technical things I learned I use all the time, and I expected that, but the thing that surprised me was the required interpersonal communications class. I kind of thought, oh, this is something I just have to do. But luckily I found myself very interested in it, so I put that extra effort in to learn things, because still now there's things that pop up and I'm like, okay, I learned about this. Especially like public speaking, things like this come up, and okay, I've done this before, I had to do it in school, I could probably do it again. So.
For me, since I'm in marketing, everything that I've learned in class I now see in the real world, so like that's where I'm
the skills built.
Yeah, so now whenever I go to like the grocery store or anything, I see like a certain example that I learned in class the other day or something like that. But I'd say me versus my first semester here to now is everything's much more organized, and like I know what I have to get done on a certain day, whereas last year it'd just be frantically checking, make sure I didn't forget something and whatnot.
Patrice and Harold, if you could address a little bit on your classes, you help students understand what you're learning here, because Harold, you talk about community, how what you learn in your classroom then builds into something else as part of the college.
No, definitely, you know, everything you're learning here is key for your success in the workplace. Our mission here at the college is education for employment. So we really want to give you the skills, the knowledge, skills, and abilities that will help you to get there. So in the classroom is a perfect laboratory for that. That's where you need to work with people, get to know each other, have disagreements, and that's a place to think differently too, and to accept that. To problem solve, to find creative ways to solve problems and challenges, to be somebody then later on when you graduate, somebody who's going to have an impact on your organization or your company, an impact on the customers that you're going to be serving, an impact on our state. And really that's what we want. We are an engine of economic development here. We are preparing the workforce of the present and the future, and you guys are very, very important. You are at the center of that. Companies come here from all over the world to do business, and we have amazing Fortune 100 companies here because of the quality of the workforce we have. And you are very important for that, and that's why we have a college like this. So.
Yeah, I would echo on that same thing. Our industry partners are really central to what we do in our programs, and in my program being medical assistant, we have very close ties to our healthcare providers in the area, and so everything that we do in the classroom relates directly to what the employers are looking for in our students, and we do a good job of relating what we're doing in the classroom and the lab to what the students are going to actually be doing when they get out into industry. And we do also bring in alumni that are out there working to speak with our students to, again, tie what they're doing in the classroom into what is actually going to be happening in a very short period of time to them when they get out and are working as certified medical assistants.
I wanted to say one.
Yeah, please.
You know, my father's got sick this year, and we spent 2 weeks in intensive care. One of the nurses in the intensive care unit was a graduate from DCTC, and she was the most amazing nurse that really, she was so amazing, such a beautiful human being that really helped my father to go through this difficult time. And so I can say that there are a lot of graduates of DCTC doing great things and impacting people. I was fortunate to see that evidence. So
Dave, when you were talking earlier, you were talking about time management, second semester, you're starting to figure it out. And so Hillary and Joe and Dave, if you guys could address the challenges that you come into school with being a veteran, Hillary having a child, Dave being playing sports. How do you address those challenges, the things that you suck away from your time, and make sure that when you're here in the college, you're focused?
Well, for me, first semester, so last year, we had mandatory tutor times that we had to go to. And I'd make sure I go to all of those, so those were really helpful.
Is that mandatory part?
Yeah, well, I would go in extra some days too. But some days, like after practice, you just get home and you don't want to do anything, but you know you have to. So it's more like to the grid, what they were saying earlier. But it's the more time that you like put into organizing everything to get it done, it's the easier it is for you, because you know what you have to get done. You don't just all of a sudden Sunday comes along, you got 10 assignments due at midnight, you just try and do it all then. Cramming's not the greatest method.
I just kind of want to, time management is really important, and I think, everybody that comes to school, and you guys as well, I mean, we all have a purpose or, an end goal, and that's to get into a certain industry. So when you're in school, is it going to be hard? Yes. I mean, you are really going to have to, if you have a half hour to an hour to spare somewhere, you're going to have to use it to, read a few pages in your book, do some homework. Just use all that time. Don't waste any time. Your life is going to be busy while you're in school, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to school so you can make more money than you are now, or get in a different field that you enjoy more. So that kind of motivates me, is knowing what I'm going to be doing when I graduate.
Yeah, to kind of build on that, I do the same thing where I would take any time window I had. So even if I just had like an hour before, after class, before I had to pick my daughter up from daycare, I'd fit stuff in there. I did a lot of homework after she was in bed. I also had to learn what worked for me. I would get tired because I probably didn't sleep enough the whole time. So I would do things like study on the treadmill. I had some online classes where he would record the lectures, so I'd just throw on my earbuds and hop on a treadmill or a bicycle at the gym, or put my book right up on there. The other thing I would do if I didn't have a treadmill is instead of sitting in a chair, I would sit on an exercise ball, so that if I did fall asleep, I would hit the ground, wake up, and start studying again, which it didn't happen that often, but you start to wake up as you slide. So it was about getting creative and finding out what worked for me. And that's not lost now that my college education is done for now. I can still use that. I mean, I still have stuff that comes up, extra hours that I have to take care of. So.
Well, Hillary addressed that, because everybody here is in education for employment. So the things that you learn here, how does it then tie to what you do for a living here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expected to use the technical pieces of it, but there's the skills that I had to learn to use, like prioritizing, what needs to get done when. I still have to use that every day here. I found that for me, I'm putting things into my phone or a computer all day long. I'm constantly inputting into technology. For me, I have to have a handwritten list that I can cross things off of. And that's something I learned when I was going to school here. I don't know if I'm supposed to as staff, but I still go down to the bookstore and get the free planners that we have, because that works great to be able to outline,
We'll
my
charge you
daily
for that
tasks.
later.
As soon as it came out of my mouth. I shouldn't have.
So, Patrice and Harold, if you could talk a little bit about the resources available to students. So we talked about challenges and things that might be barriers to success. If a student comes into the other one of your classes and says, I'm really struggling, or you recognize that they're struggling, what are the resources here for them?
Well, I think the number one resource is exactly what you said. You need to come to us. Sometimes I think that's a barrier to students. They think they're the only ones struggling or the only ones that have had that issue. So I think the number one thing is to seek out your advisor if you're struggling in any way. They may be able to help you directly. It might just be a study style issue or something simple that they can kind of help guide you, or they may be able to direct you to other resources. We have a writing center, we have the Center for Student Success, we have tutors. So lots of, and we have Jennifer, of course, our counselor, who's a huge resource for us. We often take students her way too to help deal with more difficult issues. But your tuition dollars pay for these services. You should be utilizing them if you need them. But your advisor is a key person in that link to go to them with problems you might have.
We also have lots of student life activities, and I would say being engaged at your college, because this is your college, this is your campus. Being engaged in getting to know people, getting to know others who have done it before, getting to know mentors, and someone who can informally mentor you to navigate through a course that you are in it now, would be a key element for you to be successful in that particular course. I am the faculty advisor for the Multicultural Student Leadership Association. So every Wednesday, for example, we meet at 11:30 a.m. We have lunch together. Why do we do that? We do that because that's the way to build a relationship. It's like a family. You build a relationship when you're sitting down at home and you eat together. So we have that opportunity in the cafeteria. We always meet. If you see me, come and join us, and we want to celebrate also who you are, your culture, where you come from. So we have events on a monthly basis where we have free food and we have things like that. And those activities will help you to also feel comfortable and feel like you belong here, and also an avenue to let people know, like me or Sun Tran, who is a trio advisor and also advisor for the MSLA club, to let us know, hey, I'm having a challenge here with this class, so then we will be able to find resources for you. But be connected to your campus, connected to the people, and you'll see we'll have a lot of people around you that we want you to be successful, and we care about you.
They have really good food. I highly encourage you going to eat it. It's outstanding, and it's free. You can't beat that. We all have this. I'm assuming everybody here, since you're in class and you're in school, you've got things that are going on in your lives also outside of it. When things like that occur, it's important that you connect with your instructors. And not do that on the day of the test would be probably a pretty good move. So Harold, Patrice, where you got the microphones, if you can kind of address when students have issues that are barriers right then, right now, what's the best way to talk to faculty about that? Or Dave, if you had to do that.
I have.
Do talk about
Well, so last year, every Wednesday we played 2 games. So, and I had interpersonal Monday, Wednesday, right during our games. So I didn't get to go to a single Wednesday class after the second month of second semester. So luckily my teacher was kind enough to let me take the group tests on my own or with people that weren't there. Otherwise I would have most likely failed the class. But I had to talk to him every Monday about, like, I'm not going to be here this Wednesday, we have a game, but if it's canceled, I'll get here as soon as I can. And teachers are really flexible if you let them know. Now, if I would have just came in the next Monday and be like, I missed Wednesday, what I miss, let me know. He probably would not have let me make up a test or a quiz or anything.
Yeah, just to reiterate, that is really important, to speak to your instructor ahead of time. It shows, that you're planning, that you realize that this class is important or this test is important, but there's something else that's going to interfere with that. And the instructor is going to be way more likely to be flexible and work with you if you come ahead of time rather than after the fact. And obviously things come up, you get a flat tire on the way to school and you miss a class, that's a different situation. But when it's something that's scheduled that you know is going to happen, speaking to your instructor ahead of time is the best way to go about that.
Basically don't let fear or shame get on the way of your success. Yes, if you keep it to yourself, nobody is going to know. And all of a sudden we're going to see you and we ask, what's going on with John? John is not here today. And then we try to send you an email and you're ashamed because you missed that class and you say, I'm not going to come to the following class and I think I'm going to draw. Big mistake. Don't do that. We know life happens and we want all of you to be successful. If we could, we would like to see 100% success. Everybody graduating in May with your cap and gown and celebrating and getting your degree and then getting the job of your dreams. That's what we are all about here. So make sure you leave the word fear and put that aside.
You probably have figured this out, the students in the room, that the plus and minus of being at a school that's this size is that because we have classes that are reasonably sized, the faculty know who you are, just like you know who they are. And so if you don't show up, they're going to pay attention to that and catch that. And they want to help you be successful. That's why they're at this college. Faculty here deeply care about your success, but they can only do that if you reach out to them. It's not like you're at the U where you're 1 in 150 in a classroom. They're gonna try to help you be successful. The last couple of minutes here, Joe and Hillary and Dave, if you could talk about what success has looked like here for you at the school, if you found the thing that you wanted to do here, and what happens for Joe and Dave, where you move on to, and Hillary, I'd be interested in why you chose to come back here. I meant that in a good way.
All right. Well, there was a question on the sheet about what success means to me, and I had to kind of stop and think about it because I don't think I've done that yet. It's always trying to move forward and keep going. But to me, success is being able to financially support my family while also enjoy them. So the position I had before this, I worked anywhere from 50 to 80 hours a week. And it was, if I wasn't working, I was worried about work, and it was constant go, go, go. And the money was decent, but I wasn't able to enjoy it. I wasn't able to enjoy my life. So when I heard that a position opened up here, I actually, in my last semester here, was able to do an internship. So I got to work with the team a little bit, got to experience what it was like to work for Todd, our CIO here, who's my current supervisor. And it was just a much more supportive pace. It wasn't, why isn't this done yet? If anything was behind, it was, what can I help you with? There's less pressure. And I don't know if it's because it's just a different environment from that one, or if it's because it's an academic environment, but I have the capability to go out and learn things here more often too. I'm encouraged to, rather than get this project done now, I don't care how you do it, get it done. It's, what's the best way we can tackle this problem? Go out, find a good solution, let's talk about it, and then go ahead and implement it. So I have the freedom to make those calls on how things should be done, to take the time to do it right the first time. I do have to say about that last position, everything was hurry up and get this done. The client doesn't want to pay very much. You've got 4 hours, make it happen. So many times that 4 hours turned into 16 because we put a Band-Aid on something that should have just been rebuilt to begin with. So the other thing too, the other piece of success and why I like being here is I genuinely enjoy coming to work. When I wake up in the morning, there's no dread. Oh, I have to go back to that place. I love being here. I love the people I work with. Getting to see the students, it's fun. I enjoyed school, so it's fun to be in that environment where you guys are learning, and I feel like I'm in an environment where we're doing good things. It's not just, you know, trying to get from point A to point B to make somebody happy so they can make more money.
What I think has made me successful so far in school, and I imagine I'm going to be successful, you know, beyond school, is, you know, like you had talked about before, is just being involved. I tend to set really high standards for myself. I was in the military for 13 years. That's just kind of something that is pretty natural to me. So I expect a lot out of myself. So I go after, you know, I go above and beyond what I, you know, am told or required to do. And that's why I do a lot of extracurricular activities, you know, part of the IT club, you know, organizing stuff for veterans and, you know, running the Veterans Club. And I really think that it makes me feel like I'm part of the school. And to me, that makes me feel successful. I mean, the grades help too, but.
The 4.0.
But it, you know, that's what it takes to, you know, to be dedicated. That's what it takes to get grades. Because if you're not dedicated, you're not going to give your 100%. You know, you have to be dedicated, and you have to, you know, feel part of the school. That's going to really make you push yourself to succeed at whatever you do.
I'd agree with what he had to say on that. Like, goals, that's probably the biggest reason why I've been successful, is I've set goals for myself. If it's a daily goal, as getting my homework done, or taking extra reps at practice, or like a semester goal, try and keep a 4.0, or try and, I don't know, play as hard as I can every single game. It's just something you gotta take day by day for me, because everyone wants to be successful. You just have to find your way of doing it, because not everybody's gonna become successful the same way.
Thank you. Patrick Lear directs the Student Success Center upstairs. If you've got any needs for tutoring, for assistance, stop up there. They're very nice and friendly people. Make sure you connect with their faculty and give a nice round of applause for our panel today.